Hey there viewers, thank you for tuning into Supermariodiagnostics once again. Today we are working on a 2011 BMW 335i with an X-Drive. Customer's concern is that it's acting wonky and he is suspecting that it's due to water damage, and I agree with him because I touched the mat and it was a little damp. One of the symptoms that we see is all this crazy flickering and nonsense activation of the cluster. And I'm going ahead doing my pre-scan, but for now let's just keep taking a look at the symptoms. I mean, you name it, it does it. It's just acting crazy. It's freaking possessed. This is actually a very common thing when a K-can bus has an issue, and in some cases there's a quiescent shut-off. It's like a protection of that bus. So if it sees an issue with a K-can or any other bus, the junction box electronics module will shut off a relay, turn it back on, shut it off, turn it back on, while it's retesting. Well, in my opinion, I think it's retesting this system, and every time it sees an issue, it shuts everything down and then it tries again. Don't quote me on that, I could be totally wrong, but I remember reading service information for someone who asked me for help. I forgot his name. Crack something, Sam Crack, yeah, that guy. He had asked me for help on this, and the first thing I told him was go look for water, because that's usually the case. That is the usual suspect. And it turned out being a corroded module, but nonetheless he still asked me to help him out to find another approach in case an obvious issue wasn't found. So the first thing we're gonna do is look for water, but let's take a look at the pre-scan and see what we have. That was a very short list. I don't know if you guys saw that. There's we've got the cluster, we got a cache, we got the junction box. Where's the Footwell module? There's no Footwell module here, right? And other modules. This is where a topology view will really come in handy. But I love my Autel. I can't complain. I am complaining. No message to the DME from the combi. What else do we have? Outside temperature sensor signal CAN message faulty. So where does the message come from and where is it going to? It's not being transmitted through CAN. We got a bunch of other stuff. Fuel level sensor signal CAN value implausible. And status of EKP crash disengagement between the DME and ASCM. No message. No message of that status. The EGS message from CAS, it has an absent one. Got a transfer box one. We got ABS. No message. The DSC module does not get a message of the terminal status. Doesn't say from who though. Let's see. No message from the combi. No temperature message from the combi. Okay, so the cluster, I believe is the combi, is what's transferring that CAN message reporting the temperature. Which temperature? It could be all the temperatures. It could be ambient, it could be engine oil temperature, it could be anything. Who knows? Anywho, we've got more interface codes. We got an airbag, no LCD message, no LCD brightness. It needs to know the LCD brightness. That's interesting. Maybe that's how it tells if it's nighttime. I don't know, it's weird. Let's see. Communication fault. FRM, that's our Footwell module, people. Message error, not received. It's absent right now, but I think since it comes and goes, that's why it's absent. But if we were to catch it in the act, it would probably be present. K-can communication fault, absent, but I'm sure it has an actual fault. Got present codes, no outside temperature from the combi to the RDC module. Yes, we're going through all the codes, people. K-can, more K-can stuff. Junction box, K-can fault. Failure of front display monitor. We got K-can line fault, coding issues, which is not, well, we could deal with that later. K-can fault, K-can line fault, more K-can communication faults. I think something's wrong with the K-can. What we could do is take a look at the K-can by scoping it, see if it's flatlined, if it's shorted to ground, if it's shorted to each other, and start disconnecting modules, those who are prone to water intrusion, and see if it comes back alive. We're gonna have to take a look at the diagrams and see what modules are in there and go with the ones that are prone to water intrusion. That's what, you know, water is usually the case. It's usually the case. It's very rare for it to be anything else other than software. Like sometimes software does it, but it usually doesn't take down the whole bus. Usually when it's a software issue, the module itself goes AWOL, but not the whole bus. So here we are showing the importance of looking up service information. You can see that the K-can is all over the place here. It's green and orange and green. And I looked at the OVD connector and I saw green and orange and green right here, right? Which I was thinking, great, let me put a breakout box, but look at where it goes to. It goes to the car information computer, and it's a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere from there. So that's not tapping into our K-can. That would have been a dead end right there. So we're gonna have to physically get ourselves to any one of these modules. Since I'm already going for the Footwell module, I'm gonna go ahead and grab pins 45 and 46, green and orange and green, and scope those lines. The good thing about CAN buses is that the protocol is that they're twisted pair. That's the whole point of CAN, so they'll be easily spotted. Alright, so there is our Footwell module right there, and we can see a twisted pair of our green and orange and green. We're just gonna pierce them. I know some people are gonna start saying stuff to yourself while watching this, but really it's not an issue as long as you cover it up and don't jackhammer the whole wire. So you only want to pierce just enough to get contact. I'm just gonna set it up for now and then complete the piercing with the scope connected to see when I make contact. So as soon as I get a signal, I pretty much stop piercing it. You only want to pierce the insulation just enough to make contact, and that's it. So just remember that, seal it up after you're done, and you should be good to go. And that looks terrible. That looks terrible, guys. Let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. And I apologize for the chime. There's not really much I could do about that right now. That's with the key on. That looks pretty bad. Let me make sure both of my scales are the same. We're gonna put both of them at 2 volts per division, and we're gonna center them. I like to center it using that 50% button. For those of you who have never used this before, it puts perfect 0 right at the bottom. So if I pull up my cursors, they'll be the same for both channels no matter where they are. So we got 5 volts here, Y2, we bring it down here, and we've got 0 volts there. Now what I'm going to do is disconnect the Footwell module and see if it improves. And we have no change. Our voltages are exactly the same where they were before. So our Footwell module doesn't appear to be the issue. We're going to have to find out what other modules are easily accessible and start disconnecting. There is no easy way about this. This is the easy way. Sure, it would have been nice to have been lucky, or to find water or corrosion or something like that in order to find our problem module, but we can't always be that lucky. So guess what? There's 21 modules on this bus. We've got a lot of ground to cover. There is our roof, electrochromic interior rear view mirror, our controller, which is the the knob in the center console, right front seat module, park distance control, comfort access control module, tire pressure control, convertible top module. This one's not a convertible top, so that's good. Trailer module, panorama glass module, Footwell module, which we already ruled out, a comm box, a radio, the left front seat module, the alarm sensor, the CAS module, the junction box electronics module. I know it just shows that it's like a just a pass-through, but there may be some internal circuitry going on in there. We got our HVAC unit, center information display, cluster, and airbag unit. So any one of those can cause this issue. Luckily for us, the customer approved to continue. We're gonna keep digging on this thing. After almost 3 hours of disconnecting module after module, we finally got it. I know somebody's gonna get in the comment section, oh, you should have gone to this module first. There's always that guy, but it is what it is. It could have been any module, plain and simple. I went with the diagram and started disconnecting. Disconnected the HVAC module, the center information display, the cluster. I was about to go for the airbag module, but that's a 3.7 book time job. That was gonna be, I kid you not, the module that got it is the second to last module that I checked. This was the second to last, and then it was gonna be the airbag module, which we would have had to have even more testing time authorized before we could actually do that. Well, it's actually disassembly time, because at that point it is, the center console is out. Disconnected the junction box, but that's tricky because the junction box is giving power to a lot of components, and so does the CAS module. So I did disconnect the CAS module as well, but there was still some nasty looking waveforms there. There was no siren on this one. The seat modules were the first ones that I went for, the driver's seat and the passenger seat. Went for the comm box as well. The radio, obviously the Footwell module was the first thing we did. Went for the roof function control center. This one does not have the electrochromic interior rear view mirror. The portion that has CAN does not have that. We went for the controller. We went for like I said, the passenger seat. This one does not have park distance control. It does not have comfort access control module. Went for the tire pressure control module. Does not have a convertible top. Not sure about the trailer. I don't think it has a trailer module. And obviously it does not have a panorama glass roof. So which one was it? Let's go show you. I put it back together to recreate it and make sure it be 100%. Before anything, we're going to show you the waveform, how it looks as it's acting up, right? We've got the crazy symptoms, all kinds of stuff going on. You could see the waveform looks funky. When you see, I'm going to pause it somewhere. Please excuse this. I'm trying to show you something. This is what happens when you disconnect the junction box. A lot of things are disconnected and nothing talks, and that's what the junction box is doing. It's resetting all the modules, retesting, and once it sees that happening, it resets again. If you look closely, right there it resets, right there it resets, and yeah, you get the point. Right there reset. So what is the culprit? We can see the symptoms, right? Let's go check out what we found here. And let me tell you, it's really just like luck of the draw, because this could have been the first module I would have looked for. and we would have been good to go. But that's not how it works. We're not always that lucky. Let's go ahead and disconnect this module. This is the COM box. We've got it disconnected, as you can see. Now let's go back to, and what do we have? No more blinking. It is steady. Look at our waveform. Normal messages. Was it water intrusion? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it was water intrusion, but the guy did approve water intrusion testing, and we'll deal with that out of camera. But for now, this car's fixed. Will he replace the COM box? I have no idea. But the proof is in the pudding right there. You see that waveform. Those of you who are curious, let's do this for those who want to know. If you were to put perfect 0 is where the yellow line is, down here in the bottom cursor. And then you can see one is up to 4 volts, the other one is in the recessive state, it is 5 volts and drops down to about 1 volt. So it's 5 to 1, 0 to 4. That is what you're looking for. It's 5 to 1, 0 to 4. If that makes any sense. I do apologize if it doesn't, but that is what you're looking for on a known good K-CAN bus. Man, that feels good. I cannot express how good it feels to finally nail that sucker. Would it have been nice to have found that first? Sure. But you know what? That's just the risk we all take when we deal with CAN bus issues. Sometimes we get lucky and we think it's going to go great, and we do the mistake of not charging customers in the future enough in case things don't get in case you don't get lucky. So in case where things don't go great, you end up losing your butt on it. In this case, the customer was adamant to fix it. He approved us just enough time, and we were about to go ask for more, but thank goodness we didn't have to. We'll see if he could approve the COM box. I'm going to do my water testing and hopefully see this through to the end. We'll have to code and program that COM box in order to finish this job. I guess I should have been a little more thorough in my explanation of the symptoms. My symptoms, the customer's listed symptoms was not only the sporadic cluster behavior, but also the lack of window operation. So the windows do not work, and they still do not work because we have no comms with the Footwell module. So our K line is back up online, but we have no communication with the cluster. I'm sorry, with the Footwell module. I already went ahead and checked powers and grounds and comms to it. This is actually a very common thing. I got my little headlamp set up there. I already went ahead according to the diagram and checked my powers, grounds, comms. And this, like I said, this is a common thing where the EEPROM gets corrupted in the Footwell module. And one of the programmers that we have at the shop, Hexprog, has a one-touch fix for it. I used to just pull the D-flash out of it. That's the data flash segment of the microprocessor, and you could use that, put it into a repair software, and it would create a repaired EEPROM file for you to write back into the Footwell module, reconnect it, and you're good to go. But since we have Hexprog, we're going to give that a shot. I believe that's our problem. There may be, if we cannot establish communication with Hexprog, then we will have to provide the customer with a brand new Footwell module. So, but we will try at least to establish communication with Hexprog to the Footwell module on the bench. We'll go ahead and show you how to set it up and all that. There's plenty of videos of that stuff already out there online, and besides, I'm not showing you stuff that isn't already out there. So let's go ahead and put it on the bench. Actually, we need to get further approval, And this is just another prime example of where two separate symptoms are causing, or two separate culprits are causing the customer's complaint. And in most cases, when the Footwell module is down, you do not get the window operation, but you typically wouldn't get a cluster issue, all that sporadic stuff, and the K-line down, unless there was an actual problem with the K-line within the Footwell module. But this is obvious that it's not the case at this point. With the COM box disconnected, we see that our K-line is back online, and the Footwell module is not internally skewing our K-CAN bus. It has a separate internal issue, which I am suspecting is a corrupted EEPROM segment of the microprocessing unit. But again, I like to reiterate that yes, you can have a car that has a couple of symptoms that tend to be one culprit, and it be two separate issues. It's coincidence. What can I tell you? Who knows? Maybe somebody jumped this thing backwards, or maybe somebody did the Footwell modules. If you look at them wrong, they'll do this. It's a super heavily documented issue. You can Google it, look up FRM3 EEPROM fail, or EEPROM corrupted, or EEPROM or FRM3 repair. You'll find a ton of documentation on this stuff. But for now, we're gonna have to get approval. You can imagine the customer when you tell them, hey, your COM box is responsible for the K-line. We got your cluster, sporadic cluster behavior fixed, but we still don't have the window operation that you expected, that we all suspected, the customer and us alike. We all suspected that this would be a problem with the K-CAN being down. It's a separate issue, plain and simple. There's no other way around it. Luckily for us, we didn't make the call yet for the COM box. We're going to tell them all in one shot, hey, listen, we figured out your K-CAN stuff, but you still have no window operation. Yes, it's two separate issues, and none of them were created by the water intrusion as we suspected. And one of the things that the customer explicitly told us was that he somehow tested the Footwell module and that he found that it was good. You cannot just throw a Footwell module into another car and expect it to work. You have to code it to the vehicle. So that's just, I don't see how that's feasible, how he could possibly do that. I'm not saying that he's lying, but I'm just saying that I don't see how that would work. Especially considering, since we have no communication with it now, we have no window operation, and we already checked powers, grounds, and comms to it, just like we did in the previous video of the Mercedes. It's the same thing. Why show it on this video? All that stuff is good up to that module, but it's not responsive. I don't see how he was able to test it. I'm taking his word for it, but we're gonna have to, you know what it is for the customer to tell you, hey, listen, we know it's not the Footwell module, but then we tell them, hey, your Footwell module is not doing too good. It's an uphill battle when it comes to selling this stuff, because we can only go by the data that we have. As strongly as the customer may feel otherwise. But we see this all the time. I mean, how often does a customer see Footwell module issues? So, anywho, let's go ahead and try to get approval for everything and see where he ends up and take it from there. So we got the approval to continue on with the Footwell module repair, and customer was given full disclosure. It may or may not work. Half the time it works, half the time it does not. But either way, he has been made fully aware of it. And we're going to use HexProg in order to do the job. This is the FRM. I already pulled it out. This is the label. And it is an FRM3 for an E chassis. This is an E92. And this is the tool that we're using as well, the HexProg. If anybody's wondering, we'll go ahead and do a quick tutorial. I mean, it's already online, but I guess one more wouldn't hurt, right? So we go to On Bench Programmer, go to BMW, go to FRM, and this is an E series, FRM3. And right here you can see the one-touch repair function. I'm gonna try to read the EEPROM anyway, but before hitting repair, but let's hit wiring so we can look up the diagram on this thing. And here you can see the website. It shows what we're supposed to use, the HC9S12. That's this right here. That's this attachment. And it shows us the diagram, how to hook it up. Super easy, super straightforward. Let's go ahead and hook this thing up on the bench. Alright, so we've I've already looked at my board. I've got no corrosion there. We're gonna go according to our diagram and hook this thing up. It's just super straightforward. I already have it pre-tinned, the pads that is, and the wires really. And we're just gonna quickly solder this on. I wasn't gonna film it, but I ended up deciding, you know, why not? So we got our red, we got our black, we got a yellow and a light blue. And that is it. It is that easy. Let's go ahead and see if we can repair this thing. So we have our Footwell module hooked up to our hex proc. Let's go ahead and see if we could load an EEPROM file on this. I'm sorry, read the EEPROM file on this. Usually they are corrupted, but there is a partition error on this thing. It said it immediately. It took no time whatsoever. So we're gonna try to repair this thing. Let's see if it'll read the P flash. I think we may be able to fix this one ourselves. So we've got our P flash. I'm gonna save it, even though this thing is technically not working right now. I'm just gonna drop it into my desktop for now, just to make it super easy. We're gonna hit repair. Let's see what happens. It says that it's been repaired, so let's go ahead and read that EEPROM file one more time. It read it, so let's save that, because you never know if this customer might come back in the future and he'll need a Footwell module or something, and we could just clone it, even though there's easier ways to doing that job. You never know. So let's go ahead and install this thing. I'm simply going to disconnect it from my hex prog, right? And as is, well, you know what? Let's go back to the bench. I'm gonna do this all in one shot. So you can see that this is a definite repair here. It's either gonna work or it's not, right? But I believe it is gonna work, considering all things considered, really. So I'm just gonna very quickly just, and of course I always, force of habit, I always turn off my freaking soldering iron. I'm just gonna touch them and remove them and clean it super quick. I love the zoom on this thing. You could just pretty much see everything here. Love this camera. I am simply getting them off. That's it. Nothing crazy. Hit it with some alcohol and a toothbrush, some more alcohol, and dry that sucker up. I was out of my Kimtex. I just bought some new ones, so I'm just gonna use the Kimtech. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this stuff. Is the bomb. I'll zoom out and show you guys what I'm talking about. You gotta have this stuff if you're doing this kind of work. It's basically lint free stuff, and it leaves it like pretty much new. And we're done. Let's go to the car, pop this right back in. I'm gonna put it in the case just to protect it, but we're gonna quickly pop this sucker in. And this customer is going to be pretty happy. No water damage, no need for a brand new module. Like I said, these things, if you look at it wrong, it will corrupt that EEPROM. They tend to happen from jump starts. I mean, you name it. Let's go ahead and go to the vehicle. and I'm just gonna pop it in super fast just to get it going. Super fast, idea, but you gotta pop in that first. Then the connector, and then the last connector over here. And we are fully connected. Hopefully you guys can see all of this. Let's go ahead and try this window. Nice. Gotta love it when things go as planned. Of course, just because things are likely to be fixed, you know, like we went into this job thinking it's likely going to be fixed, by repairing the file, you always got to leave that door open as to the possibility. You do not want to make that mistake of just telling the customer, hey, we're going to fix it this way and that's it, you know, guaranteed. Then you can really do yourself a disservice. Another thing to take away is, yes, 2 separate problems in this car. We're still waiting to see if we get approval for the comm box, but right now I think it's proven that that's already fixed. So yeah, you can have 2 problems on the same car, giving the same set of symptoms that the customer originally stated. You know, it happens. So those of you who believe that there's no way that 2 things can fail at the same time, yeah, it happens. It happens. Maybe the same thing that killed the comm box is the same thing that corrupted the EEPROM on the Footwell Module. So that's another thing to keep in mind. All right, so we got the approval. We got the approval to replace the comm box. I already did and programmed it, replaced it, coded it, did the whole procedure. This is the old one. That is the new one. I hope you guys can see it clearly. It is fully connected. And I'm doing my final scan. It's nice to have some closure, and our symptoms are gone. And if I could get this thing to focus, that would be great. But as you can see, everything is nice and steady. Let's go ahead and check out our post scan. We're just about done with this car. Let's go ahead and hit report. And there's only one code present, which is not related to what the vehicle came in for. If he wants to address that, we will address that, but it would not be in this video. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you all for taking the time. It's good to see it all the way through to the end. This was a great client, I gotta say. Hope this was useful, and I hope this information can help you. Of course, it goes without saying. I should have said it before, but you don't replace the comm box without checking powers, grounds, and comms first. You know, so you can't just assume. I know in the video I cut it right where, you know, it's I'm like, hey, it's disconnected and the symptom went away. Never just assume that everything is good up to the module. You just gotta make sure that everything is good up to that module before you replace it, obviously. But for those of you who are new-ish and you're starting to get into the CAN bus diagnostic game, yes, make sure that you have good powers, grounds, and comms up to the comm box, because if you don't, well, then you're going to replace that module and then nothing's going to change. You're going to reconnect the new module and then the same thing's going to happen. It's happened to me before. Where I got complacent and I didn't check it. And I'm speaking from bad experiences there. So hope this is all useful to you. If you like the video and you believe I earned your subscription, consider subscribing. Hit that like button if you like the video, and leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and until next time.